What does it take to master who you are? Very often we see people navigate the realities of life without pausing and asking themselves, who am I? And what are some of the practical steps that you can take to master who you are? Any attempt to master self and to master who you are begins with you having a clear sense of self, a clear sense of purpose, and a clear sense of direction. But what exactly does it mean to have a clear sense of self? What exactly does it mean to have a clear sense of purpose? And what exactly does it mean to have a clear sense of direction? In today's podcast, we will be looking at some of those details. At the end of the day, our vision is to provide information that will help you to better who you are. You owe it to yourself to take your life into your hands and become the author, the architect, the maker, breaker of your life. And we trust in that you do not be the breaker, but the maker of your life. Today, to support me in this conversation, I have two dynamic personalities, and I will introduce. But just before I introduce my colleagues to you, I want to tell you a little bit about the sponsors. Today's program is sponsored by the Bestseller Portal. Now, when you go to the Bestseller Portal, you have a number of programs that you're introduced to. For example, One Degree to Success is one such program that you will be introduced to. And all the programs that you will be introduced to, they are all designed to help you to better your best. So I encourage you to take some time, go to bestsellerportal.org and learn about some of the programs that we are offering. So with that being said, I now want to welcome my team. I have Shavani Sinarang, and Shavani Sinarang, she is a serial entrepreneur. She's a lecturer, and she is also a humanitarian. She's a project management practitioner. So I want to thank you for being here today, Shavani. We also have Peter Scott, and Peter Scott, he's the brain behind Legacy Chronicle and Human Growth Program. Great to have each of you guys here today. How are you guys?
Fantastic. Great.
Awesome. Shavani, how about you?
I trying to get a better word than Peter, but it's like
Okay,
awesome, like fantastic.
I
all
I,
right.
Top of the morning.
I took that
Top
word
of the morning.
frank. I took that word.
Yes,
Okay.
top of the
So
morning.
whilst you debate the words to use, I'm going to have my gin and tonic, right? I'm kidding, right? All right.
We will see how you manage the conversation after, and we will determine what is real.
Okay, if I bite my tongue or
Yes,
talk, it's
yeah,
not me, right? It's a gin and tonic, right?
yeah.
All right. Today we are having a pretty interesting conversation. We are talking about habits as relates to self mastery, and I think it's an important topic because we see millions of people go through life without, pausing to really find self, find self. And I think when that happens, you're not only cheating yourself, you're cheating the organization. Because what all of this has to do with high performance. I do believe the individual that have that sense of self, have that sense of purpose, and have a sense of direction, they're better able to be perform better in life. Now, from the research that we are doing and from the programs that we are rolling out, I want to table a couple of things that I believe can help the individual in finding self. Yes, I can go deeper into what is the sense of self. Perhaps if time permits, I'll do that. I can go deeper into finding your sense of purpose. Perhaps I'll look a little bit at that, and then we can look at a sense of direction. We can look at what all of that means. But I want to start a little different today. And I want to say that there's two boards that people need. Two boards. And I'll talk a little bit about it today. One, you need what is known as the gratitude board. And second, you need what I call the vision board. Now, what exactly is the gratitude board? The gratitude board is that board where you have historical data and present data of things that you are proud of. And why is this so important? Can you imagine that you have your gratitude board and it says that I may not be my own boss, or it may say I'm my own boss. You should have gratitude for that. But what if you're not your own boss? What if you are gainfully employed? Is that something that should be on your gratitude board? Yes, you should be grateful for being gainfully employed because there are millions of people across the world wish they had a job, wish they were gainfully employed, and all of this. On your gratitude board, you may have health. All right. How important is health? You have life, first of all. Are these things that you should be showing gratitude for? All right. So, as you develop your gratitude board, you can put some of the simplest things, or it can be some of the extreme things or bigger things that you are proud of. Perhaps you have your master's degree. Should you show gratitude for that? Perhaps you have multiple streams of income. Should you be grateful for that? Perhaps you have income producing asset. Should you be grateful for that? Now, one of the reasons I'm talking about a gratitude board is because I see most people, they go through life, and in spite of how much you have in life, and sometimes how little you have in life, you go through life with a mindset of want. You never acknowledge what you have. All right. I have seen persons that have a whole lot, but they're unhappy. And I've seen persons that have half of what, some others have, but guess what? They're very happy. And what I've learned is that happiness is a state of mind. And to find yourself is about a healthy state of mind also. All right. So I want to encourage persons to invest in that gratitude board. All right. Write down all the things that you are grateful for. You have a spouse to die for. Are you showing gratefulness for that? All right. That should be something that you're waking up to every day, just feeling happy and excited because of the fact that you have these things in your life. You have them. All right. You have your degree. You have multiple sources of income. You have income producing asset. You have life. You have health. You have a bright future ahead of you. Just pause and embrace these things and use these things as a springboard. Now, let me say this. It is important to discover how to express self from a place of gratitude. All right. You want to learn how to express self from a place of gratitude. It is your wants in many cases that is making you sad. All right. Start with expressing yourself from a place of gratitude, and having your gratitude board is what's going to help. The next thing that I want to look at is how to leverage gratitude as your springboard for happiness. And how can you do this? You see, when you have the list of things that you're grateful for, you wake up every day, you look at those things that you're grateful for, and express happiness about it. Not just at that moment, but allow that happiness to permeate throughout the entire day. So when the tide of life comes at you, at least you have your gratitude board that you're using as your springboard to happiness to keep you afloat, to keep you anchored, to keep you navigating your realities of life. But why not start here? There are people, as soon as the tide of life comes at you, your ship is ready to sink because you have nothing that is you're grateful for. You think that the whole world is against you. Get your gratitude board. The third concept that I want to leave here is how to leverage your springboard of happiness to attract success. Now, what do I mean by this? The general studies are showing that when you're in a state of happiness, it attracts, as against when you're in a state of sadness and wants and needs. When you're in that state of happiness, you attract the right people because you're not in that permanent state of want, you're in a state of have. You have enough to give joy, happiness, excitement for life, and people are attracted to that. So you can leverage your springboard of happiness to attract success. Now, what all of this has to do with mastering your sense of self? Because all that I've just said, it's a mindset. Success begins, first of all, in the mind. Gratitude is a mindset. The last thing that I'm going to share with you now that you need to master is how to master your emotional intelligence and your executive motor skills. Now, this one has everything to do with self-mastery. Is how to master emotional intelligence and your executive motor skills. Does gratitude has anything to do with emotional intelligence? Yes, it does. Does happiness has anything to do with your emotional intelligence? Yes, it does. Does success has anything to do with emotional intelligence? Yes, it does. Because emotional intelligence is not only the relationship that you're having with yourself, it's about the relationships that you're having with others. Does this influence success? Yes, it does. The next concept now, these concepts that we are introducing to you today is taken from a very unique program that we call the Science of Success. And very soon you will learn more about this because the Science of Success University wants to help you. We're seeing too many people in the world that have dreams and hopes and aspirations that are struggling with this. And one of the questions that we begin to ask ourselves, is there a science to success? And then we start to put proven steps together in an effort of helping you. So I'm going to pause here for now. When I come back, I'm going to talk about the vision board and what is the difference between the vision board and the wish board. Because what some people are calling vision board is really a wish board. And you need to know the distinction between the two. Because the inability to distinguish between a vision board and a wish board perhaps is a reason why you're not attaining the dreams and hopes and aspirations that you have for yourself in business and in life. So I'm going to pause now and I'm going to come to Shivani. Why? Because I know she's an expert in project management, and everything that we talk about, they're always subject or can be subjected to project management thesis. So, Shivani, I would love to have your share on the topic of habits and self mastery. I think it's a conversation that has to become more commonplace. Can you imagine that, Shivani? We study your diploma, your first degree, your second degree, your master's degree, your doctorate, and none of it has anything to do with you pausing and really trying to define your true sense of self, your mastery of self. My God, that self neglect to its highest. All to you, Shivani.
Thank
We
you,
now
Gary.
have Master Frank in the house.
Oh,
Hey,
yes.
Frank.
We're speaking about self mastery, and at that moment, Frank jumped in.
Frank pops in
Yes,
because you
yeah,
call his name there, right?
yes, self master.
Shivani, I think Frank was having his gin and tonic in the back seat. He didn't want to
Yeah, and
expose this.
yeah, make sure before he comes in. Yeah,
Once it wasn't KFC.
yeah.
Frank was having gin and tonic like me, right? So let me take me on, right?
I'm
Shivani,
happy,
all to
Frank. I
you.
was waiting for you. Oh my gosh, thank God you came because I really can't take this conversation. Yeah. So I was waiting for some help. So
All
good to
right.
hear in. So self mastery, as you were asking, Gary. No, yesterday I had a conversation with someone, right? And it really brought up a lot of talks that we're doing here, and what people really want. Now, or everything we're talking about, self mastery and understanding self, I'll tell everybody it is a project, right? You have to understand what do you want, and you're speaking about your vision, and we'll hear about your vision board and your gratitude board and your wish board. All of these things will be processes coming out of a project. So you have to understand what is the project, and then you will get all these what you're speaking about are the tools to execute the project properly to ensure that you have success and the outcomes and the benefits. But I want to share that conversation that we were having, with the person. So she was telling me, Shivani, many times, and I found it too. Sometimes people get intimidated by you, so therefore your true self is not really true. So you may be in an environment that you want to protect well, not really protect, but whatever they do, you do. You're not sung in as the true self that you know that you are. And in her analysis, she said, the reason that I'm doing that is that this is what is accepted, expected of me to be in this way. But that's not really who I am. I believe in certain things and I want to come out of that thinking. It's a mediocrity. And I listened so attentively because there will be so many persons like that as well. Now, if you don't understand how to get out of that, and it's just because of the environment, and you want to be in that same environment, and you want to get acceptance too, then you will never be able to be self mastery, and retirement will come for you, and then you'll realize, but wait, I really didn't come out of the environment that I wanted because I'm around different persons, and this is what is expected of me. And I see it in organizations as well. In organizations, people will, you learn from your community. And when we say a community, your organizational community, whatever they do, what is expected, how you need to grow talent management, and that is what you do. So people need to really to know self-mastery. You have to listen to yourself, and you can't be that individual that is just taking the ideas from everybody else. And when I say ideas, but you're just thinking this is what is supposed to be expected of me, and this is what I do. And then you realize after a certain number of years, wow, this really look, I didn't do X, I didn't do Y, I didn't do Z. So it's a very important aspect to understand your true self. Otherwise, you're going to just be in the system. You're going to be in whatever system it is, and you're not going to evolve. You're not going to
Flourish. You're
evolve.
not gonna, yeah, and evolve. I agree.
And a major point, project management, and that's what we're saying. When you look at yourself as a project within the environment that you are in, you will then look at, hey, the project is me. I am the project. And I'm in this environment now with Peter in this organization. I'm in an environment with Gary. In this organization, I'm in an environment with in a personal relationship with Frank, and we have all of these three different areas now. Now I'll say, okay, which one is not working at this point in order to achieve the vision, in order to achieve the benefits? So it is a cycle, right? And a lot of times people forget that this is just one aspect of whatever you do, and you have to be able to connect everything. And this is where project management will really help you. So these things are really lacking, right? And this is, I've seen it over and over. When this is lacking and you do not understand self-awareness, you are just going to be doing what everybody else is doing, and you will never master yourself. You will never be able to transform. You'll never be able to transform. So habits that you need to develop, you need to think about yourself as a project and everything that is interconnected with you, and drop out certain things that is not working. You may have to do that. Drop it out that is not working. But analyze what to drop off properly and then come back together again. You can't develop confidence, right? You cannot develop confidence if you don't understand this. You need to learn it. You need to practice it, because sometimes you may say, I can't drop off Peter, for whatever reason. But you need to drop off Peter, you need to drop off that aspect, right? May not be him as an individual, but maybe an organization that is just not working. So yesterday in conversation with this person, it just opened up. It reminded me that people are just being in their environments and just mediocrity, because they expect this is what you're supposed to do. And this is the only way they'll accept me. But if I started talking a different way, you might say, but why is Gary speaking like that? Gary, because this is what they accept. You remember the organization and the world teaches us a certain way. So to know and to transform, you cannot transform if you don't do that first step, which is you have to find yourself. Talk to different persons. Still. Talk. Network, mentor, coach, and you will be able to evolve. I'm somebody, I don't really listen now. That could be a strength or that could be a weakness too, right? I
Yeah.
don't really listen to the status quo. I'm in a lot of groups, and we call them it's known as the disruptors, right? We want to disrupt the status quo. It doesn't sound like to overtake or anything, right? Or overthrow. But the status quo is not working for a lot of people. And how do you disrupt it? I'm talking about disrupting it through an education perspective, but it's a people perspective as well. So this topic on habits and self mastery, before Frank or Peter comes in, I just want to share that you cannot move or you cannot transform if you don't start to understand yourself as a project and how you can interconnect with different things. And as I was saying yesterday too to someone else, you need to let go in order to let in. You need to let go in order to let in. And then you will really see true self.
Mhm,
Gary.
mhm. Shivani, you've said a lot. And as you spoke, I coined a term which we're going to call environment compliant syndromes. I think that everybody, we can see that. But I want to speak about this from two standpoints. I do believe that, yes, if you're going into an environment, one needs to learn the environment, one needs to learn the culture of the environment. So there is a degree of compliance that is necessary. But I also believe that once you would have been acclimatized to the environment, I think once you're trained in leadership, once you're trained in your function from a position of strength, it's about you having now the wings to fly. What I've seen happen very often, Shivani, is that many organizations, they clip their wings. All right, they clip their wings because the agenda is not to enable you to fly uh, to a certain extent within the organization. There's a glass ceiling. And if you try to push beyond that glass ceiling, you have the glass ceiling and all the other pressures that be to tell you that you're stepping out of status quo. And when you step out of status quo is where we call the disruptors. You're disrupting the current status of things, the social norm, the cultural norms of things. And I do believe that when we look at the state of the world today, there is a need for disruption. And one of the things that I talk about as a humanitarian, I millions of people have complied with the recommendations. Go to school, get a good education, get a good job, and your life is going to be set. But for many persons, until 40, 50 years, then you recognize that that approach is paycheck to paycheck cycle. And one of my vision is to provide information to people. One of my vision is to provide institutional exposure to people that will help them to live a better quality of life. And you have to disrupt the status quo in order to serve humanity. All right, serve humanity. I'll talk some more about that as time progresses. But I do believe that there is an urgent need in the world today for healthy disruptors in the interest of collective human development. Frank, all to you.
Hi guys, how y'all doing? Good seeing
Awesome,
you.
man.
Good seeing y'all. Good see everybody looking bright because it's weekend, eh?
You got it. Well, buddy, we can't afford to stay as we can. We we got knock off time.
But the thing about it is, if you want to have master self,
Yeah,
you have to first of all be able to. I'm not saying that it'll be easy to have some control of the times, and you have to like do slotting. What is necessary that you have to do what you have to do? Is it like threatening? Will it in any way harm you? Will you lose money if you don't go to that meeting? If you do not do that project this weekend? It's all about self mastery. Because self mastery is also mastering your time and how you spend your time. As leaders, our most potent weapons are
Frank
ourselves.
just nailed me to the cross, Peter.
No, 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 no. I wouldn't do that. No, I wouldn't do that. You see how you see when I don't when I'm not in meetings with you guys, I just lose out a lot. All it does just do a lot to me.
Sorry to distract you, buddy. Go on.
I was saying, as leaders, our most potent weapons are ourselves, and leadership development is a process of self actualization. How can you become the best possible version of yourself? And then how can you create value as a leader by helping those around you reach their full potential? To create the changes we want for the world, we must first be able to create change within ourselves. To lead others, we must first learn to lead ourselves. You see, self mastery isn't a destination, it's a journey. I'm on the journey myself, and that's what I've learned along the way. Love and respect yourself to success. So imagine you own $1 million racehorse. We call it thoroughbred. What kind of care and attention would you give that horse? You probably won't settle for anyone other than the finest groomers and trainers to take care of the horse. At the very least, you will make sure that that horse eats nutritious foods and exercise daily. Now stop and reflect. Are you giving yourself the same care and attention? When we're filled with ambition and racing for success at full speed, we often sacrifice the time and effort it takes to care for ourselves and optimize for maximum high performance. And the same scarcity mindset carries into the workplace when we don't invest enough in the growth, when we don't invest enough in training, when we don't invest enough in development of our own people. Ben Horowitz in his book, The Hard Thing About Hard Things, called this being too hungry to eat. You're more valuable than the racehorse. You're worth more than $1 million, and your team deserves better from you. So the greatest investment you can ever make is an investment in your own learning, in your own growth, in your own health, in your own wellness. Then you can maximize the contribution you make to others. Over to you.
Great point. Great point. And I do believe that sometimes we need to slow down
You do.
and in order to go fast. It's a funny statement, right? But slow down to go fast. Slow down to win the race. On a deeper level, it makes a whole lot of sense. Peter, all to you. You're mute.
Yeah, I was saying that it's always such a pleasure to be in this environment, especially the beginning of the day. It's a great habit. It's a great habit to develop, to be in an environment when we're challenging our mind and challenging, our thought process. And we're today we're talking about one of my favorite topic, really, because self mastery is something that is so lacking in the world in which we live, and I find that one of the reason why it is lacking is for the same reason that we mentioned a while ago. Sometimes we are going so fast in trying to attain certain end results as far as our temporal life or day by day life is, which goes back to what you were saying earlier in your monologue concerning gratitude, taking time out to set, as you mentioned, a gratitude board where we can just be thankful and appreciative of the things that we do have, because we are more than just things. And if we take all our life pursuing things, then what we're doing in essence is actually robbing ourselves of real meaning, because we are more, as Frank said a while ago, than just the that entity that is set to accumulate stuff. And as Shivani mentioned, that we have to see ourselves as a project, and we are one of the greatest projects that there can ever be, that we have to develop. And so much is spent in developing everything else, and very little attention is given to understand how do we develop and master self. And so in our human growth program, as we look at the development of self and the mastery of self, what we have been developing is what we call the master plan technique, because it's going to take a certain level of focus, a certain level of determination, where we look at the human person, we look at self and the mastery of self. We put intentionality in what it is that we're really trying to accomplish, and basically we break it down, because what we are also realizing is that we do not tend also to give definition, breaking down to understand basic definition of what it is that we're trying to do, even when we speak about self then. And so in the master plan technique, what we're also looking at is how do we define, because what it is that we're talking about when we are defining. So for instance, a habit of defining is, okay, so we talk about even those things that we do on a day-by-day basis. So when we talk about money, very few people, even though so much of our lives is focused on achieving or acquiring finance or money, as it is important. It's the oxygen of the economic of our economic lives. But how many people take the time out to define what is money? And there are some basic things, such as even what we call life. And we love when we're speaking about the personal life master plan and the family life master plan, the community life master plan. But the when you say life, what is it that we're actually talking about? Time. What is it that we're talking about when we say time? What is even mastery? When we talk about mastery, what is it that we're actually talking about? And basically, coming now to what we're talking about right now, self. What is it that we're really talking about? So we have to, as we are, looking at, we have to define. So we have to make right now in the master plan technique, as we're saying, we're building out the habit of defining and giving meaning to the process of engagement. First of all, we have to make sure that we're all in agreement in what it actually is that we're talking about, because on the broader sense as well, we're realizing that we're living in an age. It's the first time living where it's the first time that I'm realizing that so much lies is being told by the people who we trust, by institutions that we trust, that people. It's the first time in my history that we're looking at a time where you don't know what true, we're losing the sense of what truth is. It's dangerous to watch the news. It's dangerous. And then when we look at the various institutions that are set up for human growth and development, people are losing trust in government, in school, in tertiary, in the education system, because the education system now has become one of the biggest lies, and most people are so intertwined into it, where they told you that if you go to school, get a diploma, get a degree, get a good job, things will be good. And then so many people have done that only to realize that they are so much in debt. So now who do we so we're living in an age where we have to make a habit of defining. We have to come to what. Okay, when you said that, what do you act? What is it that you're talking about? Here we talk about a lot. A lot has to do with marketing, and marketing is one of the agencies that is used um, to actually, bring to speak a lot of information that is just designed to grab people's attention, but it's not designed to really empower. So we have to come to an agreement. What is it that we're really talking about? So the habits that we want to, we're building, where mastery is concerned, and the mastery, how do we define self? How do we define self? So we have to bring individuals to understand, when you look in the mirror and you see this person, what is it that you are looking at? It's not just a clump of cells that needs attention, but there are three other dimensions to what you see when you look in the mirror. So you see your body, but inside of your body is your, at the core of your being is a spirit, is a consciousness, is a sense of consciousness that helps you to define wrong or right. There is a conscience that helps you to navigate through life. And then there is a third dimension that is your psyche or your soul. And then when you tap into your soul, there is a 6 dimensions into what you call your soul, which now breaks down into, and we're just going, it's your memory, your thoughts, your emotions, your will, your imagination, and then you have your intellect. But just to deep dive more into what your intellect is when you're going to develop, and as Shivani said earlier, that um, your self mastery is a project, and it is a complex project because each of these entities of self or just of the mind requires deep attention. So just to look at the intellect, because the intellect is what we use now to make decisions or to help us to make decisions. The intellect is what we use to sort and to arrange and to define. It's our capacity to define, sort, and analyze information, data as it come to us. But let me end right here about even the habits. There is three habits that we have to pay attention to if we're going to develop our intellect, if we're going to start to work on mastery. One of the projects of self that we can look at is the development of our intellect. And we go to school, but then what we're discovering after 40 school is not really doing, it has been one of the biggest failure to humanity because it has trained people for the wrong placement. After going to school for so many years, as we said it a while ago, people are in debt more to start their lives in debt instead of be able to build a foundation, strong human resource programs for their lives and themselves. So, all right, so the habits, so here are three habits that we want individuals if you're going to attain self-mastery. Three components that you can really use to build your intellect. Let there be a habit of increasing your wisdom. A habit of increasing your wisdom. I'm going to come back to what wisdom is. But in order to increase your wisdom, you have to have a habit of increasing your knowledge, of engaging knowledge, new knowledge. And this is a task because for the first time in history, and I would say, recent history since 2020, it's only since 2020 that you can't just trust what you hear. You can't just trust what you see. Because as I said again, the very individuals and the people that are put in place, who are employed by the populace to really inform humanity, they are the ones who are speaking and spewing the biggest lies. So where your knowledge is concerned, you've got to take the time to do your own independent research. And that, I realize, is such a task because you've got to navigate through the lies in order to come to the truth. And let me even dare to say this, that even words today, you have to go beyond just the English, what the English meaning of the word is, because the English, in my definition, English is not really a real language, because words should not change by how I feel. And English is one of those languages that I use my emotion. It is not defined by the root of the word. It is defined by how I feel. So I feel good, and I'm saying I want a better word to describe good. And so I say wicked. English is I think English might be, I don't know many other languages, but I think English might be one of those words that it is so emotional that you can use your emotion to add a meaning to a word, which over time, that word change to actually depict the emotion. So you have to go back into the Greek. You have to go back into the etymology of understanding. But what am I talking about here? I'm talking about a habit of building your knowledge, because what you're working on your intellect. And then you got to work, once you have that body of knowledge, you got to make it a habit of understanding, building your understanding of what the information means and how you're going to make it practical for your life. We'll come back to wisdom in my next portion of communication.
All right. What I want to do is just give some facts and data on one of the reasons why I called for an academic audit. One of the things that we are seeing is that we have over 42 million Americans that are saddled with debt. The 42 million, or about $1.707 trillion in federal debt. And what we see is that less than 9% are able to offset that debt. Um, so we have a wide cross section of the people that are saddled with debt. And again, we ask the question, is modern education designed to help people to master their sense of self? Just food for thoughts. If you believe it is designed to accomplish this, feel free to send us your data and your response, because we are doing that type of research, and we are building out the program. That is why we are building out the Science of Success University, to speak to the hearts of people, to speak to the needs of people, and really put them on that path for success. As promised, I did say that I want to look at vision board. And what is a vision board? What I've also said is that most people, instead of having the vision board, you have the wish board. So what is the difference between the vision board and the wish board? Now, on your vision board, you may have things like good health. On your vision board, you might have things like happiness. On your vision board, you may have things like wealth. On your wish board, you may have the very same things. But here is where the difference comes in. Your wish board is just a wish board. You put things and you say, I wish that these things happen. The vision board is different. You know, the great book, we learned that the people without a vision will perish. And what a vision board is saying to you, it's more than just sticking future needs and expectations and dreams and hopes and aspiration on your vision board. It's very much like the architect. Before you build a house, what do you need to do? You need to have your builder's plan. So the vision board is very much the design, the drawing that you want for your life. But then the architect, after designing the builder's plan, he ensures that the foundation of that building has to be strong. The foundation. If you build that building on an improper foundation, the building will fall. And that's what happens when you do the vision board. When you do your wish board may say this is what the architectural drawing is. But guess what? The foundation is not proper. So in terms of vision, the vision ensures that you have the foundation upon which to attain the vision. So let's take, for example, again, this is why we have developed the Science of Success initiative. because the science of success is going to break down whatever your vision is. Let's take, for example, you want to build wealth, and it's going to put clear definition to wealth. Because again, it's not enough to say that I want to be wealthy. You have to define what being wealthy means to you. And then it's going to ask you, what is the art of success or the art of attaining that? And what is the science of attaining that? So it pulls on data. So it's not enough to say that I want to be happy, healthy, and wealthy. It helps you to understand the strategies, the tools, the processes, and the systems to get there. A clear vision means that you have clear targeted performance outcome and you have the science of success behind whatever approach you're going to be using to attain your level of success. That's a vision. So there's a difference between the wish board and the vision board. And think about this, it's in this way also. Very often you find that at the end of the year or the beginning of the year, people develop their New Year resolution. They may even write down what they want. I want to lose weight. I want to increase my disposable income. I want this to happen. They write it down. But guess what happened? After a month, 2 months, Q1, Q2, everything that they have written down doesn't make any sense because all they did is they write down their builder's plan. It's a wish list. But a contractor knows that once you develop the builder's plan, he understands all of the other moving parts to start doing the building. He lays the foundation, a proper foundation based on the height and width of that building. He ensures that he has capital resources to move the process forward. He ensures that he has the human resources to move the process forward. He ensures that he has the technical resources to move the process forward. In your vision board, you may have that I want to start and scale a business and take it IPO. And because you're a good visionary, you understand the process of starting the business. And that begins by researching the area of business that you want to be in to ensure that it makes business sense. It's a viable, to ensure that you know your ideal client, to ensure that the ideal client has the ability and the willingness to pay for your product. You understand all of the moving parts to make the vision real. So that's just a little bit that I want to share today. What the research is again is showing is that when you apply visionary thinking in the right way, because visionary thinking is not excluded from data collection, data analytics, ability to leverage data in the right way, and the ability to mitigate data. You have a vision, but you have the leadership abilities to make the vision real. Very often when you have the wish board, you don't have the leadership abilities to make your wish becomes real. You don't understand the process. So it just remains a wish list. And wish lists almost never come true. What you need is a clear vision, and you need the right leadership abilities. And here's where self-mastery comes in too. All right. It's like setting a clear goal. This is what I want to accomplish, but then you hold yourself accountable for what you want to accomplish. As Frank was saying early on, leadership is about discipline. Self-mastery is about self-control. It's not about setting the goal and then you have no focus and no control over how you organize your thoughts and other processes to make the goal become real. So I'm going to pause here for now. So I trust that you had something to take away today. The wish board is just wishful thinking. You don't have a strategic game plan to make it happen. A vision board simply means that you have a clear mental picture in terms of what you want, why, and how to accomplish it, and you have the leadership ability to make things happen. I'm going to pause for now. Shivani, all to you. Are we going to
Thanks.
start to wrap up shortly? Yeah.
Right. So closing remarks then for me, and closing thoughts. Self mastery, it starts with becoming self aware. Right? You can't different levels. You have different levels to climb. Just as in projects, you have different levels to climb. In the hierarchy of project management. So you can't just self master just like that. You start with self awareness, and you have to reach the self discovery. I enjoy this aspect, which is self discovery, because when you actually look at that point now, you can go into so many different areas, and then the real transformation comes in. So do self discovery a lot. And Peter said something that I just wanted to share, to chime in with what he said, in terms of this is a conversation that we have in here 7 o'clock a.m., 7 a.m. every morning, and it really does set the tone. It gives you a new habit. It gives you the habit that you're going to come 7 o'clock every morning and have a good talk, and and learn from each other. So that is a habit that we are developing, and it's soon we will change the name, I'm sure, to the 7 a.m. club, because I'm not sure if we have the 7 a.m. club anywhere already, but it's a good thing. So, and this, just getting with persons and networking, and listening to other persons, it's developing a habit. And you'll when you constantly do it, you realize that you want to do it, right? So there's a certain amount of times that you need to do something before the habit actually is part of you. So this has become a habit for me as well. I want to come and talk and see everybody, and have a good time, and we call it the sweetness of learning. Now, in terms of self-discovery, so I'm just saying that because it helps us now. It is contributing to my self-discovery process as well, because conversations like this will help each of us to self-discover where you want. You yourself, at the beginning of the conversation, Gary, you would have evolved your particular area, from business boot camp to different things. So you are self-discovering as well. It's not this linear part at all. So self-discovery, it's because how are we doing it? We are doing it with conversations and growing it as a habit. Growing it as a habit. So I found what you said, Peter. It really opened up my mind as well, because it's a true thing. It's a true statement. How do you develop a habit? Now, to reach a self-discovery, or to move from self-awareness to self-discovery and eventually self-mastery, you have to do what? You have to look at continuous learning. You yourself said it, but all of us here have said it. Peter said it before too. But I'm putting it in the way of continuous learning. It is continuous learning. You can't say that you know everything, but how do you develop the continuous learning for me in project management in order to self-master whatever I want to self-master? Like, I don't know what I self-mastering as yet. I know I'm still evolving, right? And then there will be different theories on that you could never self-master until because you keep evolving, right? And that's how I look at life. I don't self-master, because it's a total transformational process. Every 10 years, I look at life differently. I'm in my 40s now. I'm 46, so I have transformed. If you have spoken to me when I was in my 30s, definitely I'm totally different in how I converse, and the different things that I want to do. So, and then when I approach 50s, I hope that I transform again. So it is not a linear thing. It's a cycle. It's continuous. So to really develop this process of self-mastery, everything here that we are saying is continuous learning. You have to me, that is the biggest habit that you have to develop: continuous learning. When you do that, you're going to see self-mastery. If you don't do that, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And as we would have said way back, every single day I would learn something different. And it don't have to be no big long thing. It's just a 10 minutes or something that you read something new, and it puts things in different perspectives. Thanks for that, Gary.
Uh, Great share, great share. But I just want to give a slight. I want to just give an expanded view on the concept of self mastery. I do believe that there are different spectrums to self mastery. And we can take a celebrity sports personality and we can see that very clearly. Yes, you may be a top basketball player. Yes, you may be a top football player. But how do you see life after your journey in this space? Do you mark time or do you evolve? And what I'm happy about is that today we're seeing a lot of senior football players. They evolve into entrepreneurs. They evolve into, great thought leaders. So you see that evolutionary part. However, what is also clear is that they're at one stage of what they were doing, they demonstrated mastery. They demonstrated great competency. But that is not the pinnacle of who they are. There is a spectrum, there is evolution that is taking place. So I just want to share that bit in relation to what you said. You have made some other great points, Shivani. You talk about self awareness and self discovery. Again, what research is also showing, and some of the research we are doing ourselves, the pathway to self discovery, it is one that you have to face the fire because you're not going to discover who you are in a state of calm. You have to be exposed to different challenges, different experiences that is now helping you to form your opinion. Perhaps also what plays a significant role in this is socialization. Where are you getting your socialization from? Some people get their socialization from parents. Some people get their socialization from school. Some people get their socialization from organization. And what we see happens a lot when you're grounded in whatever you're socialized in, you project yourself based on that socialization. But is that a pinnacle of your self mastery? Those are things that we want to go deeper into. What we see is that it may represent a cause, all right? But there's some gray spots as time progresses, we can go deeper into that. But I love the points that you would have made in terms of self awareness, self discovery. I do believe that uh, all have to train our mind to function in a state of awakeness. I think that very often we function in a state of unawakenness. Let me put it that way. And there is where I find massive self neglect is taking place. Frank, on to you.
Thanks.
You're
Thank you.
muted.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, One deciding moment can change everything for a leader or business. But what about all the other moments during which the real work gets done to meet and to exceed performance results with regularity? What we don't often hear about, and perhaps a more solid pathway to success, is the diligent, ongoing work of developing your own strength and building your team's core capabilities. And you might soon face your deciding moment as a leader. You can put in the work beforehand to prepare yourself in order to maximize your results. Habits create character. It pays off to take time to develop the good practices that define a true leader and team success. And I can go into all the other common leadership traits like purpose, optimism, gratitude, and humility, mindfulness, listening, then there's mastery, of course. And as we on mastery, uh, to pursue leadership is to pure mastery of self and recognizing mastery in others. You see, when you dabble, it wastes time for yourself and your team. So effective leaders go deep and develop master insights. Masters appreciate quality and seek out other masters. They understand the value of fine quality craftsmanship, but pronounce distinctions and differentiated service. So the key to unlocking your full potential as a leader is totally within your control. And Jim Rohn um, said it this way: don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenge, wish for more wisdom. Success and self mastery are within your reach. You have already started the journey. Thank you.
Great share, um, Frank. I just want to add in conclusion, just before I come to Peter for his conclusion, that as we look at the concept of self mastery, it's important that we see self mastery beyond the thesis. If the thesis is just classroom training, why am I saying this? Research is also saying that the way we behave, the way our mood swings, correlates with the foods that we eat. So if we are not thinking about dietary supplements and ensuring that we have the right information on food type and food groups and how it relates to our physiology and how our executive motor skills work, we're doing ourselves a disservice. All right. And that's how far we are going with the research that we are doing because of the fact that we want to help people to live their best life. And living their best life, we know, is not just about, you know, say, come to the classroom or train. There are so many variables that must be considered when you want to nurture the high performance in the workplace. So I just want to share that a little bit. And as time progresses, we will expand on this. As you come to the Science of Success University, we will be going deeper and deeper into these concepts to ensure that you have the winning formula for success in business and in life. Yes, we're having a soft conversation today, but I want to say it's not as soft as you think it is, because this is really the foundation upon which, the springboard to human sustainable development. Peter, all to you.
Yeah,
Closing remarks.
yeah. Right. So, mastery, as we mentioned, with our human growth program and with the building a technique, the master plan technique in what we actually do and how we do it, in to build the human person to, and by large, human growth in terms of personal, and then understanding the implications for family, extended out into community, and then having a design, a corporate design that binds each of those levels together, whether it is in business, business in terms of for profit or not for profit, all of those elements, basics, boils down to the concept of understanding the way how the mind works, right? And as I mentioned, understanding how the mind works, the six dimensions of the mind, and we looked at the intellect, where, working, as Shivani say, picking projects, and each time you're going to work on a particular area of self because you want to attain self mastery. So today we're looking at the development of the intellect, and how do we actually develop the intellect. And we understand, as we're saying today, that developing the intellect requires that you make a habit of increasing your knowledge. You make a habit of increasing your your understanding, and then which will form the basis of increasing your wisdom, and this has the word wisdom is seemingly to becoming a more and more less used word in modern life, and that is sad, because wisdom, we find, is the foundation of um, of everything else that exists, because it is out of wisdom. And even as we mentioned earlier about defining, creating a definition, defining what is the elements that we're working with, and how we actually use the elements to advance ourselves, to attain mastery, and to attain human growth and development. So the definition of wisdom, we go back into the Greek understanding, because the English language goes right back to the Greek. Most of our words in Greek goes back into Latin, which Latin comes out of Greek. So the Greeks has a concept where they look at wisdom, and one of the concept of wisdom that the philosophers of the time used, they call it the four cardinal virtues. If we're going to talk about wisdom, wisdom is such a complex entity of realization and awareness, that for one to be wise is not just to say that I am wise, but there has to be a basis upon which wisdom is established. And so the philosophers, they call it the four cardinal virtues. There are four virtues that wove together like a four-stranded cord, that you can't say you're wise if you do not have the other pieces. So the four cardinal virtues are: number one, prudence, justice, courage, and temperance. So if I am going to say that I am a wise person, I have to have prudence. If I'm a wise person, I have to know what justice is. If I'm a wise person, I have to be a person of courage. According to the philosophers, the Greek philosophers, if I am wise, I have to know temperance. It's a lot to go into each, but let us just pick one of that. Let's use prudence, and this is classic when we research and we looked at prudence. And then prudence again is one of those words which is becoming archaic. When you look at try to research online what prudence is, you find all kinds of things coming up without getting, and which is when I look at the English language, this is why the English language, it doesn't really help when you're seeking mastery, because you have to cut through so much red tape in order to come to the very substance of what is necessary. But it is important for us to do so. So when you understand what prudence is, according to just a research of the word, prudence, listen to this. I had to read this over and over and over and over for it to really sink in. But I want to let this be my closing word here. It says, prudence is the ability to discern the appropriate course of action to be taken in a given situation at the appropriate time, with consideration of potential consequences. That is a mouthful. Just to say it, much more to really let it sink in, and then to actually do it. But it is worth repeating that over and over, because the society as we know it is falling apart. Humanity is falling apart. For the first time in history, human beings is now an endangered species. And we can laugh about this, but this is serious. For the first time in history, you have multiple wars happening at the same time. At the same time, then it is there for the finances that is going into these wars, and nobody has the sense of understanding to say stop. Are we so far gone that we can't see the loss of life and how much we are funding the loss of life that somebody, an adult, can't get up and say stop? Yeah. So this is a world. This is a world. This is the world we're living in. This is the world we're living in where the adults wreck the bill, rack up the bill, spend off all the resources, and then leave it for the children to pay it. And it's okay. And nobody can take the time out to look at the situation and says, what are we doing to ourselves? Anyhow,
Okay.
this is a great place. Thank you, Gary.
Yeah. So we really have to ask, are we seeing self-mastery? Is it on the good side? Is it on the bad side? So there's a lot to talk about. However, I want to thank our viewers who are viewing this program from across the world. And today we are reaching over 50 countries. And today we have over 35,000 persons who have subscribed to the platform. I want to thank you for subscribing to this platform. I also want to thank Shivani for always showing up and supporting this platform from the project management standpoint. And Peter, he always brings in his theology, and I love the points and wisdom that begins at looking at four important concepts that constitutes wisdom, and prudence, and justice, courage, and temperament. And perhaps we can look at the program on wisdom and really trust that the leaders of our world are truly demonstrating wisdom. I want to thank Frank for always showing up and bringing his expertise as an economist and also as a leader to these platforms. To the general public, we continue to research a lot of the data that we're bringing to you. While we love some of the status quo, we also see ourselves as being disruptive. I do believe it's a necessary means, especially if you want to focus on sustainable human development. Some of the things that Peter have just spoken about, where human life is under threat. And if you don't disrupt that process, human life will be under serious threat. So part of our role is, as humanitarians, is to look at the challenges, do some forecasts of how it's going to impact human lives, and to also come up with our thesis and our game plan to help make the world a little better for humanity. With that being said, I want to say, do enjoy the rest of the day and the weekend in front of you. And we will do this again tomorrow, Saturday at 3 p.m. EST. So take good care of yourself. See you guys tomorrow.